20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting Truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Monday, November 5th, 2018, start of a brand new week. It's also Guy Fawkes Day, so I imagine over in Great Britain, the bonfires are bonfiring, and they're having a celebration over there. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I can think of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. So they're celebrating over there, and they're having, a lot of fun here. For those of you who were paying attention, Gab is now back. It's back online. It is unfortunately being hit with a DOS attack. So they're still trying to silence these alternatives to the corporate social media, but sooner or later we're going to get through here. Now, obviously, tomorrow is the midterm election. There's been a lot of early voting, a lot of voting by mail, but tomorrow is the election itself. A lot of anticipation, probably going to be one of the highest turnouts of a midterm election in U.S. history, and probably because it's one of the most important midterm elections we've had in U.S. history. Both sides are still proclaiming that they're going to be victorious here. And the polls are showing the race is basically a dead heat. It's neck and neck. The wild card, of course, remains election fraud, and they're catching a lot of it, and how many illegal immigrants are going to get away with voting in these elections, which they're not supposed to do here. But apparently the blue wave has in fact fizzled out, and one of the major factors of that had to do with the way they handled the Kavanaugh hearings, where they basically got up there and they told a bunch of lies, and they caused a lot of damage to a lot of people. Just, we're going to get that guy, we're going to keep him off the bench here, and it damaged the brand. And you have all these people who were making these false statements, telling outright lies. Liberal Democrats accosting people, screaming obscenities, and it basically damaged the brand, and it looks like they're going to pay for it tomorrow in the election. Unless they can cheat their way through here. Anyway, the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley has released the committee's report on Christine Blasey Ford's allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. Now, remember, this woman has raked in $1 million in donations from a GoFundMe campaign, and she's apparently being offered a book deal about all the horrible things that Brett Kavanaugh did. Chairman Chuck Grassley basically came to the conclusion there is no evidence to support the allegations. One of the things they're looking at, though, is the role of retired FBI agent Monica Lee McLean, who appears to have been handling Christine Blasey Ford, like it was an intelligence operation. Then we get into the case of Julie Swetnick, who over this weekend basically went public saying, yeah, she made it all up. All the stories about, spiking the punch and, gang raping all the girls. She just wanted some attention, and she just made it all up, and she got her 15 minutes of fame. So what kind of a mindset where you can ruin somebody's life, potentially ruin somebody's life, ruin their career just because you want some media attention? Is that what liberalism has come to right now? Now, apparently there is a GOP ad, it's actually a Trump ad, that's running on the theme of jobs, not mobs. And apparently CNN is refusing to air it, saying it's racist. NBC pulled it this morning. It is still up on Facebook right now, but they're running this ad. The theme is jobs, not mobs. And it's a very powerful selling point, because people have been looking at the way the Democrats have been behaving in the streets of America. They're looking at that migrant horde that is on its way to our southern border, and they're feeling it's time for a change here. Over at CNN, one of their people came on out basically saying that women should withhold sex from their partners until they vote Democratic, because only the Democrats will give equality to women. This is right out of Aristophanes. It's not a new idea. But I mean, that's how desperate they are out there. You women, you get with us. You don't give your honey any honey until they agree to vote the way you tell them to vote. Apparently down in Georgia, there's been another incident of Democrats trying to hack the voting system. Apparently, Republican governor candidate Brian Kemp revealed that his office is opening an investigation into the Georgia Democratic Party on allegations that it attempted to hack the state's voting system, including allegations of possible cyber crimes. So, yeah, they're cheating. They're basically cheating. All right, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network here. So let's turn to the migrant caravan here. There are now a total of 4 of these caravans on their way to the border. And here is where it got a little bit weird over the weekend. The Pentagon has flat out refused the order of the President of the United States of America to deploy U.S. troops to our southern border, saying it's really more appropriate for law enforcement to handle it. I'm sorry, that's really not up to the Pentagon. They're supposed to obey the orders of the Commander-in-Chief, and frankly, I think it's time to fire some generals. We've already seen that these migrant caravans are able to blow right past civilian police officers. We saw that in Mexico. This is an invasion of our country, and that's what the Army is supposed to do, is to be able to take care of invasions, to protect our border. And for them to refuse, that insubordination at the very least, I'd start firing generals. If I was sitting in the White House right now, I'd be accepting resignations without prejudice. Now, the forces that are already down at the border, they're starting to put up coils and coils of razor wire, and they're basically trying to improvise as much of a barricade as they can. And they're being supported by drones and choppers. And they've started basically unrolling the coils of razor-sharp fence in the vicinity of McAllen, Hidalgo, Reynosa International Bridge Crossing in Texas. So, Story coming out of Information Liberation. And again, it shows what is really going on with these migrant caravans. They're attacking the police. They're smashing through borders on the way to the United States. And have you noticed we're being told they're fleeing the horrible conditions in their home countries? Oh, they're so suffering. We just have to open our border because they're fleeing these horrible conditions. And yet every time the news cameras come on out, they're waving the flags of their home countries and they break into the national anthem. Did you ever notice that? And by the way, have you seen what they leave in their wake? I mean, I know they're being fed, food is being supplied to them. Somehow their laundry's getting done. But after they've gone through, it's a mess. They're just leaving everything on the street. They're just dropping it. And everywhere this migrant horde has gone, the people who live there are just absolutely outraged at how their homes have been trashed. Their streets have been trashed. And, of course, they're the ones who have to clean up the mess. Now, maybe this is in response to the fact that the Pentagon is refusing to deploy the troops down to the border. But again, more than 100 volunteers from U.S. civilian militia groups are now en route to the southern border to enforce the country's immigration laws. And I certainly respect their desire to enforce the immigration laws. The immigration laws do need to be enforced. And I certainly recognize their right to keep and bear arms. But I think this is a bad idea. All it's going to take is one of these migrants to be seriously injured or killed, and the liberal Democrats and open border people, they're going to have a field day. They're going to have a bloody shirt that they're going to wave and say, see, you should have just opened the borders and let them on through. So we have these volunteers, the border vigilantes, and they're motivated by Trump's constant warnings that the migrant caravan posed a threat to the country's national security, which is true. There's a bunch of criminals in there. We know that MS-13 is in there. We know that they have bombs. We know that they have guns. For all we know, they're carrying contagious diseases. We know that the Mexican civilian police could not stop them, which is why the Pentagon's refusal to deploy to the southern border is inexplicable. And as I said, it's insubordination. And if I were sitting in that Oval Office, I'd be firing generals right now. I'd be looking for some colonels eager to be promoted, okay? Want a star on that shoulder? Get on down out of that border. Alrighty, so let's take a look at what's going on in some of the conflict zones, because there is a lot going on here. Over in Syria, former members of the U.S.-backed militant groups are switching sides. They're now joining forces with Hezbollah, operating in Syria. This is coming out of the Wall Street Journal. And apparently, approximately 2,000 fighters had joined the forces and even started receiving salaries. Now, the Wall Street Journal claimed it was due to losing funding from the U.S. that they changed sides. Yeah, they're mercenaries. They're going to go where the paycheck is going to go. So, yeah, it's all coming apart over there. It is coming apart over there. And again, Russia is continuing to sound the warning that there's going to be a false flag chemical weapon attack in Syria to be blamed on Bashar al-Assad. And I'm expecting it to happen, could happen as soon as Wednesday, once the elections are over. Okay, story coming out of Mondo Weiss here. And it's something that we have been seeing, but nobody wants to talk about it in the corporate media. But Israeli Jews and American Jews are now kind of drifting apart. American Jews aren't really supporting Israel anymore to the degree that they used to. And again, it has a lot to do with the behavior of the government of Israel. And what's Israel going to do? Scream that the American Jews are now anti-Semites? Not really going to work. But right now, and this is out of Al Jazeera, support for Israel is continuing to drop among U.S. liberals and young people. Apparently, only 25% of liberals still view Israel as an ally. So, and again, they did it to themselves because of how they behave. It's got nothing to do with their religion, has nothing to do with their ethnicity. It's how they behave that is the issue. And Israel's attitude was, you know, if you're a loyal Jew or you're loyal to Israel, you will ignore that we're doing bad things. Well, that only gets you so far. Now, believe it or not, there is a report that has come on out in Israel itself from a blue ribbon team of scholars, basically acknowledging that the Ashkenazi Jews are in fact Khazars. Now, for those of you who are not sure what I'm talking about, as you know, there are different groups of Jews. The Ashkenazi are the European Jews, and they are the most prevalent in Israel. And I mean, if you look at their skin tone, they don't even look Middle Eastern. But they are actually descended from a Central Asian kingdom called Khazaria. And what happened is about 880, Khazaria found itself with the Christian armies on the north border and the Muslim armies on the south border. And they said, hey, we'd like to trade with both sides. And in order to do that, the king of Khazaria declared Judaism to be the official religion of Khazaria. So they imported a bunch of rabbis and they started, okay, we're all Jews now. And they did a brisk business. They did a lot of trade. They didn't get invaded for a while. But eventually, Khazaria did collapse. And the descendants of those converted Khazars, who by that point absolutely believed they were descendants of the Hebrews, migrated north into Russia and westward into Europe. And that's where the Ashkenazi Jews came from. And up until recently, Israel has tried to deny this, saying, no, we're descended from the Hebrews. But they're now acknowledging it. And here's the issue. Now they want to basically go back to Ukraine, or some of them do. A reverse migration, if you will. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, another story here. Apparently, in the West Bank district of Kalkilia, Israeli settlers once again poured their raw sewage on a Palestinian school. The Azan Beit Amin school playground was flooded with sewage for the second time in 2 months. So the Israelis do like to fling their poo. You know, and of course, that's going to be one of the things that are costing them support among liberals and young people. Because we understand that's not a nice thing to do here. Over in Saudi Arabia, it looks like Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is going to survive this political crisis coming out of the Khashoggi murder. But apparently over at the New York Times, they ran an article written by David Kirkpatrick and Ben Hubbard, basically saying that, yeah, Crown Prince bin Salman is in no danger of losing power, that he's being supported by the United States. What they leave out, of course, is the fact that over in Israel, Netanyahu went public saying, oh, you know, we're going to keep him there. Absolutely, absolutely. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has to stay there. And that is really the impetus behind the U.S. support for the Crown Prince, because prior to that, there was talk about disconnecting from him because of the toxic brand he's created. But we can count on the corporate media to say, oh, come on, it's no big deal killing a reporter. You know, there have been, 60 so far this year. You're just making a big deal out of nothing here. All right, now, billionaire Saudi Prince Alawid bin Talal, who just a year ago was strung up and beaten by U.S. mercenaries during the Saudi purge, basically came on out and said that an official investigation into the death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi will exonerate Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman 100%. So I guess he didn't want to get strung up and beaten again here. Okay, we're coming up here on a commercial break. We're going to take some time out for some words from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
The First Amendment in the Bill of Rights limits the government's power by ensuring freedom of speech and preserving the rights of the people. Every day that passes, our rights gradually slip away. It's time to take a stand and let the government know we're tired of losing our rights. LibertyStickers.com will allow you to express your rights and allow millions of people to see you stand up for what you believe in. LibertyStickers.com carries the largest selection of bumper stickers online, ranging from political to humorous, and is your #1 source for Ron Paul for President stickers. As always, you can find your favorite stickers that protest the war and the president. Don't see what you're looking for? Liberty Stickers will custom make stickers that will let you get your message across for all Americans to see. Go to LibertyStickers.com and see pre-made stickers that will get everyone talking. That's LibertyStickers.com or call 877-873-9626. Liberty Stickers, the world's most dangerous stickers.
Attention RBN listeners. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, founder of Front Sight Firearms Training, and fate have come together to allow RBN to run another fundraiser till the end of the year. We didn't really expect this opportunity, but thankfully it's here and running as you hear this. We've set a goal of 500 donations by the end of the year, which averages around 6 per day, 7 days a week. When you realize all the folks listening to RBN all hours of the day and night, we think our goal is realistic and extremely critical to keep RBN on the air. If everybody listening will seriously assess their ability with firearms and then take advantage of this opportunity, we feel our goal is very conservative. Please take the time to look over Front Sight's website to get an idea of an amazing facility and the world-class training that's going on there. If this interests you, you likely will have like-minded friends that would like to know. Tell them. If for some reason some listeners are not personally interested, consider sons and daughters, close friends, nieces or nephews, top valued employees, inform club members, share the opportunity with police and fire departments. It's not too early to plan Christmas presents for special people. This fundraiser has come at an extremely critical time for RBN because the dire need for equipment upgrades. We're running on the spare tire currently with no money to fix a flat, and the fuel gauge is bouncing on E. This is one of the most valuable ways you can help RBN financially because you get Commander lifetime membership value that is 50 times your donation and can be passed on forever. How many times during life do you get to leave a legacy? See more details and contact info on our webpage, republicbroadcasting.org, and thank you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go to the phones now to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
It's November 5th. Checkmate in Syria, Mike. No F-22s and F-35s still going into Syria, so that tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, this, you know that Blasey Ford woman that you said that FBI agent is her handler?
Yeah.
I have to 100% agree with you. This was a deep state. I mean, they are linked to the neoliberal agenda, and it's just sad. I mean, like I said, like when I said like a while ago, if everybody thinks there's going to be investigations on Hillary or there's not.
No.
Everything is corrupted.
Yep.
FBI is corrupted. The CIA, the NSA, the DIA. Look at the Pentagon. They don't even want to send. They don't want to send troops to their own border. I mean, I bet you if Trump asked them to send 50,000 to Syria, they would. How crazy is this?
Sure. More money.
But it's insane. You know, we're illegally in Syria. We got illegally caravans of people that are paid off, and 4 different caravans. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people coming to the border, man. And you would think they want to protect their country. You know, maybe they don't have anybody left here to protect our country, Mike. Maybe they're just spread out so far around the world, they can't get them back here in time. That's got to be it, right?
No. There's a lot of military forces. I mean, you know, there are people still in basic training at the various camps across the U.S. There's plenty of military forces on our domestic soil, and they should be heading to that border. And I don't really understand how the Pentagon's leadership has the gall to reject an order by their commander-in-chief. And what I'm waiting to see is what Donald Trump is going to do in response to that. Now, I understand he's out there today campaigning and trying to get the vote out for the Republicans. But I think Trump has to respond to this. He has to respond to this clear insubordination.
Well, we said this from the beginning. When he came in, he should have cleaned house, and he didn't.
Yep.
And he's the commander-in-chief. He's the one responsible. How can people still support this guy? My aunt, you know, you said it. This is going to make or break Trump. You know, like this incident, which is on purpose to make or break him. You know, I mean, I'm off the Trump train because I think it's too late to salvage him. You know, with Bolton and all them. But like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know how you do it, Mike. It's like it's just the bizarreness of everything.
Yes.
You know, you got refugees in Europe. They're not stopping them, except for maybe Hungary and Poland. And they're still part of NATO and the EU. Like, does that boggle your mind?
Yep.
Like, I mean, we're against the migrant, but we're still with NATO and Mike, I got to talk about the Su-27 that buzzed the U.S. intelligence plane. Isn't it funny how they say how reckless and stuff? Is it almost as reckless as arming jihadi terrorists in Syria? Yeah. Like, I'm just curious, you know, I mean, the gall to just say that when we've done so many bad things, as in our government, you know, not the American people, but I mean, they represent us, unfortunately, and, you know, or they represent the bankers. Hey, Mike, by the way, did Khazaria have like a Federal Reserve?
Not that I'm aware of.
Collapsed, you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because since they collapsed, you figure, you know, wherever the Federal Reserve or a central bank is, it tends to leave some bad news. All right, Mike, have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go here. So anyway, we're talking about what's going on over in Yemen. As you know, the U.S. has now called for a ceasefire. I had speculated that the U.S. was thinking Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was going to be forced out of power, and they were looking at potential replacements for him and didn't see one willing to continue the war. or maybe Crown Prince Mohammed is himself saying this has gone on enough here. But apparently, despite the U.S. call for a ceasefire, the Saudis are pounding Yemen. And so far, the Saudi government and United Arab Emirate officials have yet to comment on the U.S. call for a ceasefire and peace talks at all. It's like it didn't happen. Now, Great Britain is getting ready to introduce a resolution at the United Nations to end the Yemen war, to basically say this has got to stop. It has caused an horrific famine. And here's the bizarre part. Mike Pompeo is out there saying that Iran is responsible for the famine and starvation. Because, gosh darn it, they're in there and they shouldn't be there. And, you know, if it wasn't for them, you know, we would have our internationally approved government in place. First of all, I don't know to what extent Iran is in Yemen or not. But it's just more of this nonsense of bashing Iran, heading toward a war there. All right, we got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce? Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Now, you'll remember that last August, there was this horrific incident where the Saudis dropped a bomb supplied by the United States on a school bus and just killed 40 children, maimed dozens of others. It's just on a market square. Well, Donald Trump is now out there trying to shift the blame, saying that it's not the fault of the United States for supplying the bomb, but that the Saudi military are basically kind of dumb and don't know how to use U.S. weapons. Well, I'm sorry. If they're really too dumb to use the weapons, why are you giving them the weapons? That's like saying, okay, this child in front of me does not know how to handle a firearm safely, so let's just go ahead and give him a pistol to play with. And by the way, have you noticed on the gun grabbers, they're trying to come on out and say that those who provide the weapons share the guilt for the crime. Well, I think that has to apply here as well. I think Trump should have just let this one alone. I think most people had probably started to let this fade away into the past here. Okay. Meanwhile, Mike Pompeo is out there vowing to confront Iran aggressively. See, war's coming, another war. The pre-Iran nuclear deal sanctions are now back in place. And Mike Pompeo is out there saying, yeah, we may not protect the southern border of the United States, but we're going to confront Iran. We're going to go after them. So, and again, Iran has not done anything to the United States except just want to go their own way and be left alone. Which I guess in the eyes of the United States, you know, that's a cause for war. You don't go your own way, you do what we tell you. Apparently, Iran has now foiled an Israeli cyber attack on their communications infrastructure. And Iran is saying they will follow up on what was clearly a hostile move via international mechanisms, which means they're going to go to the United Nations and they're going to complain, and there'll be a resolution in the Security Council, which the United States will veto. All right, let's take some phone calls. Jim in Chicago, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. I have told you this in the past. If Donald Trump really wanted to do something about the caravan and about those countries in Central America, the only thing he has to do is either put sanctions on those countries or take away their foreign aid. That's all he has to do. But he won't do that because he knows this topic is something that really makes his supporters happy. As far as the troops not being sent by the Pentagon, they know all this is political. And after November 6th, Trump is going to start backsliding and changing his mind and policy regarding foreign invaders. That's what's going to happen.
Well, you may be right. Right now, though, of course, for the American people, I mean, polls are showing the American people want these borders controlled, and Trump campaigned on that. And maybe Trump just has decided he's not even going to try and run in 2020, although he's got a campaign and a campaign manager. But if he does not start making good on the promises he made to the American voter back in 2016, he's going to be a one-term president.
I would agree with that. And as far as the election tomorrow, I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. In fact, I'm not even voting because nothing's going to change. As long as I see American individuals being neglected, not really serious about trying to help them, I don't have that much respect for either party, Democrat or Republicans. I mean, they both are bad in my eyes, and I have to agree with you. I'm just waiting for the collapse, and then we might have some changes.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's what we're going to have to wait for, because the people who are in control of this country, they absolutely love the way things are right now because it works for them. It gets them lots of money, lots of power. They don't want to change anything and public opinion be gosh darned. So we're going to have to go through a Soviet Union style collapse, or worse, we're going to have to get into a war with Russia and China and then lose it. And then, yeah, then there'll be changes.
Right. Okay, Michael, you take care.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Frank in North Carolina.
Right. Okay, Michael, you
Frank.
take care.
Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I tend to agree with the last caller, actually. Apparently this is something in the news cycle going on now. I guess Trump has been denied by the Pentagon troops to go to secure the border.
Yeah, we were talking about that just a little while ago, and I'm stunned. The Pentagon is supposed to follow the orders of the commander-in-chief, and Trump has the legal authority to secure the borders, and the Pentagon leadership, they're being insubordinate, which, in my opinion, would be grounds to fire them.
Well, that's kind of what I called in about. I guess you could do that, but I personally, in Trump's shoes, and I don't know who he really is. I just see the outside character, but if the president of the United States doesn't have the legitimate authority to secure the border of his own country that he's commander-in-chief over, the military he's commander-in-chief over, they're denying him that. I mean, here's what I would do if I were him. If I was president, I would ask those officers specifically who are declining the order, I would have them report to me. If not, I would have some special group to go secure them and bring them to me. I would roll out a lot of plastic onto the floor, and I would ask them again, are you going to do what I've told you to do? It's a legitimate request by the President of the United States to secure the border. They said no, I would have them shot, and it would be videotaped, and it would be aired on television.
I think that would be a bad idea. That could actually provoke a military coup d'etat against the president. But what Donald Trump does have the authority to do is start firing people. And he could fire them with prejudice, which means they would never work in the defense establishment ever again. And again, this is a test. He's going to have to be seen to do something about this insubordination. He can't just let it stand.
Can I make one more point?
Sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't hate Hispanics, or blacks or anything, but I see all these activists, like, they're really militant and everything. Like, you might see a Latino girl out there, and she wants her people. She wants this caravan to come, from south of the border. These people, they speak her language. She feels some kinship with them, and she's all with about supporting them. She wants them to come here, out of some type of racial solidarity.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, she wants them to come here, to be able to come here because of their race. But you have civic nationalists here who all they really want, they're not really against anybody racially or even a preference. A lot of them claim for their own race or anything like that. They're willing to let anybody and everybody come here just so long as they do it legally. They're worried about the rule of law.
Yes.
But yet these people are called Nazis and racists. Who are the real racists? The real racists are the ones, it's these Hispanics and others who are saying, we want these people to come here because of their race, because they're of the like race that we are, and we want them to come here to increase our numbers so that we can outvote the traditional Americans who have been here for generations. So the real racists are the non-whites.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. And as I've said many times before, for anybody who comes into this country through the legal immigration system, welcome. I hope it's not a big disappointment. But this idea of just allowing people to step across the border, including MS-13 gang members, various other criminals, people carrying contagious diseases, it is complete and utter insanity. And what George Soros is now trying to do to the United States of America is what he did to Europe. And look how badly it turned out over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason these people are so motivated to basically, not go with the rule of law is because of racism. It's because of their own racism. George Soros and all these people, they want these non-whites to come here not because they're just people, but because they're non-white. I mean, that's the epitome of racism right there.
Yep. No, Soros wants to just blur everybody together. That's what they did to Europe. That's what they're doing here to the United States. Did we just lose Frank? Okay, let's switch over to Alan in Texas. Aloha, Alan. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, thank you. I just want to mention real quick about the election tomorrow. It's my belief that the left is going to be violent no matter what happens. If they win, they're going to celebrate by beating up their neighbors. And if they lose, they're going to beat up their neighbors. I mean, if they win, they're going to take it as a mandate that they were correct and to follow through on their agenda. And if they win, it's just the same thing. So I saw a poster the other day, not far from our polling place here. I live in a heavy Democratic area. I used to be a Democrat, so I understand where they're coming from. But it said, no to elections and yes to revolution. And it tells me they're going to be violent no matter what happens.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. Even though Hillary was saying that if the Democrats win tomorrow, that they're going to go back to being civil. But no, I agree with you. I don't see it as happening. We've started down this path to basically rioting equals right.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to mention that because, like I said, I think they're going to be violent no matter what. It's a mandate. If they win and if they lose, they're going to be angry. And I think the Democrats have, I call it a blitzkrieg mentality, that there's going to be a flash of glory and all the bad people will be gone and then they'll have their perfect system. And that's where I think they're coming from. Anyway, I just wanted to make that comment and I'll let you go. Thank you.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go, and we're going to switch over here to Al in Canada. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Doing fine.
Good. I can't believe that guy actually suggested that Donald Trump have a bunch of these Pentagon guys shot, like right in the White House, for crying out loud. That's crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
The people might shoot Donald Trump. Man.
Yeah,
anyway,
he could provoke a military coup d'etat, but Trump does have to respond to the insubordination. He can't let it sit.
Yeah, definitely. They should be fired. But this Soros thing, isn't there something that can be done about this guy? I mean, I know Russia wants the guy, but I mean, why isn't this guy in jail yet? I don't understand it.
Because he's got a lot of money. He's greased all the right palms.
Oh.
And the fact of the matter is that if he were to be arrested and charged, he's got enough lawyers to keep appealing whatever the case is until he dies a natural death. But I know that there's a lot of people in the world that do wish that Mr. Soros would stop mucking about with the planet. Yeah,
it sounds like a good idea to me. He's doing it up here as well. Obviously, the larger the country, the more his influence is felt. But yeah, I don't understand. Just another quick thing, Mike. Have you ever heard of a guy named Jordan Peterson?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so he's like a university professor up here in Canada, and he's a conservative, but he's a little different. Anyway. I'm surprised I haven't seen anything on your website about him. Maybe I'll send you a link or two.
Okay.
It's crazy some of the stuff he does. Crazy how some of the people react to him. You know, they just, they'll just yell stuff out and, bang on things to make a lot of noise and just basically disrupt them, right?
Yes.
And they're liberals, obviously.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks a lot for your time, Mike. I appreciate it. You have a good one.
All right, you got it there, and we're going to switch over to Kevin in West Virginia. Aloha, Kevin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mr. Mike. A couple callers ago, Frank talking about rolling out the plastic. I think we need to start setting examples of people who don't want to follow orders. Absolutely. And then with the other caller talking about the left, do I have to remind everybody, #hunt Republicans and all the times in the media that the left has been calling for violence?
Yes.
So their game is nothing but violence. I mean, that's no matter what anybody does, they're going to be violent. And I don't see what the problem is wanting to defend ourselves from the violence.
No, I don't have a problem with defending ourselves from the violence. It's just Frank's suggestion of taking the military commanders and just shooting them for refusing to obey orders. I think it's a little extreme, and it could provoke a negative reaction. But Trump does have the authority to fire them all, and I think he's going to have to do that.
You know, I've been hearing a lot, how about radicalism and this and that. Back in the day in the 1776 and all that, 74, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness was a radical idea.
Yes.
And we still want that. So this whole radicalization of things, I think, was a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is what we have on our hands. And, I am concerned about tomorrow. Absolutely am concerned with the voter fraud, the election fraud.
Yep.
Trump dropped the ball on it. Absolutely dropped the ball on it. Big tech, election meddling with them, swaying an election. So what, as we little people, what are we to do?
Again, I'm counseling patience. There's obviously a crash coming, a Soviet Union-style crash, or worst case, the United States gets into a real war with Russia and China and loses it. And I think that's basically the only two paths that we have. I do not support a civil war. I do not support an armed rebellion. The American people just aren't ready for that. Anyway, listen, Kevin, got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. We have another caller on the line, and we'll be right back.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
35 million people in the United States suffer with debilitating migraines. If you or a loved one are one of them, you need to know about MigraLief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist that formulated and patented the MigraLief migraine formula. MigraLief is a non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Try MigraLief for 3 months and see the powerful difference it can make in your life, or get your money back, no questions asked. Go to MIG911.com or call 800-MIG-7354. You can change your life today.
So if you suffer from migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354, or visit MIG911.com.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read a few from Amazon.com. Dr. Sam Serino reviewed the Extendivite product. Good ingredients, feeling much better since taking product. It seems that the tablets work well. Once again, thank you for your product. My acid reflux has really improved thanks to the Extendivite. Together with my thumb joints, the pain is gone and I'm able to grip things much better. My friend has peripheral arterial disorder and their lower legs were hurting in a red color, but thankfully there has been a significant improvement. Kind regards, Janice. My husband feels a big difference using Extendivite. Thank you. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right back to the telephones to Laura in Michigan. Aloha, Laura. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Mike.
Hi.
Mike, I think what's happening was the Pentagon won't send people down is because the plan is they want a clash between our militia, our wonderful militia guys, and the illegal aliens. And what they're going to do, they've always wanted to bring the UN peacekeepers in. So if there's a clash at the border, they want to bring the UN peacekeepers in.
Well, that's going to be a bit of a trick because the United Nations is on the side of the migrant horde. They're down there giving them food and other supply. You know,
the clash is going to be, they're going to go after our guys.
We could actually see that happen. We could see UN forces,
yes, I think so.
You know, helping the migrants through our border.
I mean, they should stick one toe over our border. I say if they stick a toe over, chop it off.
Well, I don't like this talk of gratuitous and bloody violence. And again, the optics would be very bad. I hope that the razor wire is going to prove to be an effective deterrent. Tear gas, rubber bullets, LRAD, the area denial system. I don't think they should be using live ammunition because all it's going to take is for one of these migrants to be seriously injured or killed, and the liberal open border people, they're going to have their bloody shirt and they're going to be screaming, let them in, let them in, let them in.
Also, I want to talk to the guy, the jerk, who said he wasn't going to vote. Very proudly said he wasn't not going to vote. I've known jerks like him. They're not going to vote, but they're going to bitch all day about what's going on in the country, you know, and then and not lift a finger. They've probably never done one thing as an activist at all. He won't even vote, but he'll complain all day long. I've known millions of people like that, and I get tired of them. We need people to vote for senator and congressman, at least those two, get a Republican there to help Donald Trump. Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem is if you're registered to vote and you don't vote, somebody can take that registration and vote in your place for the other side. So you really do need to make sure, first of all, that you are registered correctly. And get out tomorrow. And I know there's a lot of election fraud and there's a lot of fakery going on out there, but we have to overwhelm it. We did that in 2016. A lot of election fraud during the primaries and then during the general election, but enough Americans got on out there to overcome the election fraud. See, they can't be too heavy-handed with the election fraud or it becomes obvious something funny is going on. And again, they're already catching people in Georgia, Texas, trying to rig these elections. And the Democrats are out there absolutely desperate. So, please make a point of getting on out there tomorrow and voting and encouraging everybody that you know who's a conservative to get out there and vote as well. Okay? All right.
I just don't want to hear anybody else calling your show like that jerk and saying they're not going to vote. Don't even call in. Just stay away. Stay away from RBN. You don't belong here. You don't belong if you're not going to help at all.
Okay, well, Laura, we got to let you go. We got to do station identification. We'll be back with hour number 2 after these few words.
Extendivite is more than just a heart tonic. Most basic diseases are caused by yeast in the gut and metals in the liver, and we all have a bit of both. The garlic in Extendivite has a yeast-killing effect in the gut while also helping the sulfur enzyme in the liver get rid of the metals. Extendivite just may improve your overall health. Products like Extendivite are the only way we are going to get our society healthy. And if you're waiting for the government and pharmaceutical care to solve your health problems, you're going to have a long, disappointing wait, I think. Extendivite is a complete formula for extended life in the new millennium. 80 can be the new 60. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Okay, so we're talking about the conflict zones around the world. And apparently there was a very close passing of a U.S. warship and a Chinese warship in the South China Sea. And apparently, according to the Chinese, the U.S. warship actually did breach the sovereign territory of China, and the Chinese warship basically moved to head them off and turn them around and get them to leave. And they didn't actually bump, they didn't actually connect, but of course the U.S. is still taking the attitude, we can go wherever we want, we're the United States of America. But it's getting very dicey out there, and all it's going to take is one mistake or one hothead, and it will really, it'll be on. So, meanwhile, Great Britain is getting ready to sell China an unlimited amount of military technology. See how these defense companies, they make money off of both sides. You know, China's the bad guy. China's the bad. Oh, well, we're still going to sell them stuff. So apparently this unnamed British defense company has been granted a license to supply an unlimited quantity of goods to China's military, including airborne radar technology likely to be used by the People's Liberation Army Air Force. And the contract, governed by an open individual export license, has actually been active since last April, 2 months after Prime Minister Theresa May visited Beijing, and apparently was only recently made public. So, defense contractors are making money. Okay, one of our callers was commenting about this. As you know, there's this huge naval and air exercise going on around Norway called Trident Juncture 18. And apparently last Friday, a Russian Tupolev Tu-142 bomber basically flew close to the USS Mount Whitney. At the very moment, Marines on board were gathered for a group photo, which it was either incredible luck or somebody on that Tupolev had a good pair of binoculars and said, you know, we're going to get into the picture here. But the Marines got their group picture, and in the background is this Russian bomber. And of course, the U.S. is saying, it's a provocation. It's a provocation. Actually, it's international waters. And that bomber has as much legal right to be there as anybody else. Every time there's one of these encounters, the U.S. comes on out and says, they're being unsafe. They're being unsafe. You know, the Russians are bad. They're being unsafe. And apparently a Russian Sukhoi 27 aircraft basically intercepted a U.S. EP-3 spy plane over the Black Sea. And the Navy has posted a video shot from the spy plane showing an armed Russian fighter jet flying just off the wing of the spy aircraft. And of course, the Americans are saying it's being very unsafe. And I'm sure from the Russian point of view, they're saying, what the heck are you doing here? Over in Korea, the United States and South Korea are going to resume low-level military drills ahead of talks with North Korea. So they're going back to just rattling their sabers here again. Meanwhile, North Korea is saying that unless sanctions are lifted, they will go back to their nuclear weapon development program. See, here we're caught in this impasse between the Asian style of doing business and the U.S. attitude. Now, the Asian attitude is, we'll do a little something, you do a little something. Then we'll do a little more, then you do something more, then we'll do a little more. And bit by bit, we work down toward the final outcome. The U.S. attitude, which is one they seem to have picked up from Israel, is you give us everything that we want first, and then maybe we'll do something nice for you. So North Korea is basically saying that unless there is some progress in the lifting of the sanctions, the deal is off, and they're going to go back to making nuclear weapons. Apparently, the U.S. and Japan are staging a huge war games in the Pacific amid tensions with China. And apparently, Washington and Tokyo have amassed a record number of sailors, Marines, and airmen for the biggest joint naval drill, rented lips, that the two nations have ever held close to Chinese shores as tensions rise in the region. Well, look who's rattling the sabers. That's why the tensions are going up here. So 47,000 troops from the Japan Self-Defense Force have been joined by more than 10,000 U.S. servicemen for the Keen Sword 19 military exercise, the biggest drill of its kind since the biennial joint maneuvers were launched in 1986. The U.S. forces participating in the drill include the bulk of the 7th Fleet, as well as Submarine Group 7, both of which are based in Japan's Yokosuka. Tokyo has deployed roughly a fifth of its military, and 2 Canadian warships are also taking part in the exercise. We're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. So let's talk about the economic news. I mentioned already the sanctions on Iran have been reimposed. All the sanctions that were lifted by the P5 plus win deal, they're now back in place. Remember where all these countries said we're not going to go along? Well, rather than make it look like these countries are just openly defying the United States, Mike Pompeo is issuing Iran sanctions waivers to the very countries that said we're going to go on buying oil from Iran. That's South Korea, Taiwan, Turkey, Greece, Japan, China, India, and Italy. Now, as the sanctions settle in, Ayatollah Ahmed al-Mohammadi is out there saying that Iran could instantly create $400 oil simply by seizing the tankers, saying that if the oil exports are halted, Saudi tankers will be confiscated and Gulf countries attacked. This guy is talking really, really tough. Apparently, he issued this message during last Friday's prayer sermon here. But, you know, the these sanctions and tariffs that we've had here before, they have a tendency to backfire. Remember that oil price war that was supposed to wreck Russia's economy, and it actually caused a lot more harm to Europe, Canada, Venezuela, the fracking industry. So there's an article here out of Zero Hedge saying the new Iran sanctions risk long-term U.S. isolation. And this is something I have been talking about for a while, that the more the United States starts throwing sanctions and tariffs around, the more and more the rest of the globe is going to start learning how to get along without the United States. Over in Russia, they've already started their SWIFT alternative system, and it's already got the largest market share. Europe is bracing for the U.S. sanctions because it's going to hit them. So they're going to be dealing with that here. All right, let's see. Let's take a phone call here. Mark in North Carolina. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Message during
How you doing, Mike?
Friday's.
What I wanted to say is, as far as the refusing orders by the generals, they won't refuse orders though to bomb Syria. They won't refuse orders to put troops into Syria where they don't belong. They won't refuse orders to stay in Afghanistan. They won't refuse orders to stop messing with Iran, and they won't refuse orders to stop putting troops on the Russian border, constantly provoking Russia. That they won't refuse orders for. But for something like this, defending the United States of America, they want to refuse orders. As far as I'm concerned, if Trump is made up any kind of thing short of blubber, needs to fire these guys, these generals. Generals, by the way, are not the best troops. Anybody who's been in the military knows. Flag officers are far from the best soldiers to make that kind of rank. They usually make that kind of rank by sticking their heads, where.
Yes.
Up somebody is, where. Okay, they're not the best. Usually people, colonels, captains, majors, who don't do that, they're the ones that usually don't get that far. But so Trump needs to do something about this. He can't just let this go.
I agree.
And like I said, he needs to stop listening to neocons. He needs to get rid of people like Bolton and Pompeo. And he needs to, like I said, he needs to put those troops, make sure those troops understand they're there to defend the United States of America. I'm not saying they should shoot anybody. They just have to defend themselves is one thing, but they need to fire that CS and pepper spray and whatever else and disperse these crowds before they're able to get over the border. And as far as Iran goes, all this is going to do is, gas prices have been dropping a little bit lately, right?
Yes.
Now they're just going to go right up again because of this. And there's always a danger of Iran. And people got to understand. I personally think Trump knows better than to start a war with Iran. I think he understands if he has any chance of winning in 2020, it's going to go down the drain, and probably would need a draft. And like I told you before, you bring a draft into this now with so much, more informed than they were back in the Vietnam days. You're going to have holy hell break out this country. This country is going to rip itself apart if that happens.
Yes.
And you're going to have insurrection within the military. You talk about insurrection, these generals being insubordinate. You're going to have huge insurrection all over the military. Troops are going to refuse to go into battle. They're going to refuse to obey orders. And it's going to, it's like I said, it's going to make the Vietnam era look tame. And I would hope that Trump at least knows that. I'd hope he has some kind of, people advising him, maybe other than the Boltons and the Pompeos, who would tell him that, because this is where we're headed. It's not a good thing. Our troops are not there to defend Saudi Arabia. They're not there to defend Israel. They're not there to defend Europe, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, or any place else. They're there to defend this country. George Washington said it right. Avoid foreign entanglement. Get out of these places. Defend this country. By the way, all Trump has to do is declare a national emergency on a border. It's been done before. It was done in the 60s and the 70s with the riots. They brought regular troops into the cities then, and it was even done in Los Angeles in the early 90s with their Rodney King riot.
Yes.
They brought Army and Marine troops into L.A. with full authority to restore order when the police couldn't do it. So this is not something new. Posse Comitatus is very debatable whether Posse Comitatus even means anything on the border, because you're defending the border.
It is the border. You know, the troops are not there. The troops are not on the border to police the American people. They're there to basically prevent a crowd of foreigners from coming on in. And obviously somebody high up in the Pentagon, maybe among the Joint Chiefs, made this call to say, no, we're not going to go down there. And that person needs to be identified, and they definitely need to be sacked. You know, Trump has to respond to this. He can't just let it lie.
He absolutely does. And, I don't trust any of these generals personally, and I certainly don't trust the civilian leadership in the Pentagon either. Again, as we just said, this is not Posse Comitatus, and if you want to make it Posse Comitatus, all Trump has to do is order a state of a national emergency, as was done with these cities back in the 60s, 70s, and even in the 90s. And also, by the way, I forgot Liberty City in Miami in the 1980s.
Yep.
This is not something new. You do have a right to send troops in as a last resort. And what about the civil rights movement? What about Eisenhower sending in the 82nd and the 101st in to enforce the school segregation in Arkansas? What about JFK and even more LBJ sending federal troops to enforce the integration of those universities?
Yep.
And also to enforce the right of those civil rights marches in Selma to march peaceably. And he didn't even need permission from the state. The state had, he felt that these are violations of people's civil rights and constitutional rights. Really, that was not a states' rights issue. Once a state has no right to violate its own citizens' constitutional rights. Jim Crow should have never even gone as long as it did, not even close. So once the federal government decided to do something about it, they were in their right, because you don't, under states' rights, you do not have a right to violate other people's rights. You do, like marijuana, that's a states' rights issue. But denying people their constitutional rights, that's not a states' rights issue anymore. That is an issue, a constitutional issue. So that's about all, Mike. Like I said, I'll listen to what you got to say off air. Okay?
Okay.
Offline.
Well, thank you very much for the phone call. And you need to also keep in mind, Posse Comitatus does not apply to the Marines. There's an exception there. So they could be deployed to the border, and nobody can talk about Posse Comitatus at all. All right, let's switch over to Emmerich in Vancouver. Aloha, Emmerich. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Good talking to you again. Listen, I'm just listening about this. You guys able to protect your border or not? It's simple as that. And if Trump can't protect his own border, we're going to lose a lot of credibility around the world. People are looking at all this. And he is probably just an extension of the being controlled by the deep state. We might not see it. It's well done. If he can't do that, what good is he? He can't protect his own borders. If deep state's going to control that part, well, he's there for a show.
This is Trump's big test. He campaigned on securing the border. Now the border needs to be secured. And again, we need to identify who in the Pentagon chain of command basically said, no, we're not going to obey the lawful orders of our commander-in-chief. That person has to be pink-slipped. It's time for Trump to go back to his reality TV show and scream, "You're fired."
And he's got the power to do that. And if he doesn't do that, then there's a reason why he didn't do that, because somebody else is pulling the strings. He's not stupid. He knows what he can do that. So why doesn't he do that? Because somebody else is telling him. Somebody else is pulling the string. He's a puppet.
Yep.
That's the way I see it. So, anyways, I said my 2 bits. Thank you. Good
All right,
talking to
thank you very much for the phone call. And we're going to switch over to Joe in Tennessee. Aloha, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. You know me, I'm a big Trump supporter, so this might surprise you, but I kind of think that it's okay for the military to do what they're doing. I remember when Obama was president and the military refused the orders to attack Syria, and I thought it was a good thing. And I think that every once in a while it's appropriate for the military to stand up and say, no, and then to go, okay, the president does have the right to fire them. But if it's a matter of a moral reason and, I'm not following orders because of a moral reason, or in this case, I don't know if they're refusing. I just don't think they want the military involved in arresting the immigrants. I think they're going to assist the Border Patrol. They're already putting up barbed wire, and I think they'll back up the Border Patrol. I think there's a big thing here in that I think the Border Patrol might be upset in that they think they can probably handle this. And I think that military should back up the Border Patrol.
The issue here is that soldiers are allowed to refuse an order which constitutes a war crime. That doesn't apply here. Anyway, thank you for the phone call. We got to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you a few from Amazon.com. By Mel. Great product. My husband and father-in-law use it regularly. Both my husband and father-in-law have had significant change in their blood pressure and overall health. By Amazon customer. It works for me. Returned to buy the tincture and the capsules as they were on sale during February. Unlike some other products, this one worked for blood pressure and occasional irregular heartbeat. Extendivite produced noticeable results after just 2 bottles, a 4-month supply. I take Extendivite 3 times a day, every day. I think the supplement has helped with my increased fitness regime and to lower my blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. the network thanks you.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just scratch yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the economic news here right now. Apparently, Lowe's is closing 51 stores in the U.S. and Canada. They're described as underperforming stores, meaning the customers aren't coming on in here. Right now, little story out of governmentslaves.info. The majority of student loan borrowers have less than $1,000 in the bank. That's how tight the economy is right now. Okay, we've got a caller on the line. Larry in Austin. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha. Yeah, just been listening, and you were talking about the border and the refusal of the orders and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And unless I'm listening to a different show, but yes, I think that's today's show.
Yes.
Anyway, okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it take an act of Congress for the military to be deployed elsewhere? And so the guy was talking about the military refusing orders to deploy or for whatever circumstance, but he was talking about the Syrian thing, and I don't believe that there was legislation or any kind of act of Congress that declared a war. So I don't think that
there really wasn't. And under the War Powers Act, the president does have the authority to temporarily deploy U.S. military forces anywhere he wants. And then after an interval of time, I think it's something like 30 or 90 days, he has to go before Congress and say, this is what I'm trying to do, and I need a war authorization. Unfortunately, going all the way back for the last 17 years, Congress has not actually declared war for any of these military actions we're involved in. It's just the president saying, go over and kill those people.
Yeah, under the auspices of the national emergency declarations and all of that.
Yeah.
But what about the board? It's a totally different set of rules when a president orders the deployment of the military to defend our borders against what he perceives as a threat. And so I think the two things are completely different from that guy talking about the deployment overseas in Syria to the deployment of our borders for pure defense.
Yeah.
I guess that's arguable, whether or not it's defense because it's a horde of migrants instead of, an armed military force. But I know that there have been
some of them have guns. They're waving the flags of a foreign nation. Looks to me like it's an invasion force. Me too. Trump. Under Title VIII, Trump has the authority to say these people are not going to come on in, and he's got the authority to use the military to back that up.
Yeah, I agree. I have one more question, the same issue. Excuse me. They were talking about putting up tent cities and filling out paperwork and all that kind of stuff, which I agree with. But what side of the border are they doing that on?
I imagine they're probably going to wind up doing it on our side of the border, which means we're going to see a lot of these migrants basically escape the tent cities and disappear into our cities. We had somebody who wrote on in the other day in response to this story that these migrants are fleeing human-caused global warming and gave us the suggestion, all right, put the tent cities up in Barrows, Alaska. And that way they don't have to worry about human-caused global warming. I think wherever they put up those tent cities, it ought to be the most uncomfortable place possible. We shouldn't be encouraging and incentivizing this.
Yes, no, I agree. And I believe that Trump is already if they're putting the tent cities on our side of the border, Trump's already failed diplomatically. He should have forced the issue with Mexico and come up with some sort of a plan that those tent cities were on that side of the border, so there wasn't already. I mean, if they come in on this side of the border, he already lost. He already lost the issue. Period.
Yep.
It's done. He lost the issue. No. Anyway, thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you, and let's just get that taken care of here. All right, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you go. Yeah, this is a big test for Trump, and he could lose the 2020 election right now, based on how he's going to handle this thing. Okay, getting on back to the economic news here. Apparently, Amazon, for this holiday shopping season, which is now upon us, they're hiring 20,000 fewer workers for the holiday season than they did last year because the robots are taking a larger slice of the workforce. Amazon has invested very heavily in robots, and as a result, they don't have to hire as many people, which means those people, if they're unable to find a job, will not be doing any Christmas shopping anywhere, not even at Amazon. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at aroutfitting.com.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the economic news, and apparently in New England, there's a very popular pizza franchise called Papagino's, and all of a sudden they started closing their storefronts, and apparently it took the customers completely by surprise. And they are a little upset because it's a great pizza place. So, apparently, over in Germany, despite Germany's solid economy right now, ordinary Germans are not doing very well. In fact, almost 1 in 5 Germans are at risk of poverty, despite record employment, because the cost of everything is going up faster than their paychecks. We have a lot of that same thing coming over here. Now, interestingly enough, story out of 12160, experts are saying there's going to be a colossal collapse in gasoline prices ahead of the midterm elections. Well, the prices went down a little bit, at least on the mainland. We didn't really see it here in Hawaii. But they're saying the gasoline could be as low as $2 a gallon. Now, of course, as this situation with Iran heats up, we can expect gas prices to start rising shortly thereafter. Over in Italy, things are getting very tense there. As you know, there has been a war of words between Italy and the European Union. And Italy's Interior Minister, Matteo Salvini, is now striking back at the EU for threatening the country to change its 2019 budget proposal, and is calling for Italians to take to the streets to signal that Rome will kneel no longer. So the EU is definitely showing signs of straining, fracturing. The EU has warned Italy it has no choice but to leave bloc and trigger a huge crisis. So apparently it's being suggested the European Central Bank could soon stop being able to contain unnerved markets and lead to Italy leaving the Union. And Italy's hardly alone on that. Poland's talking about leaving. Hungary's talking about leaving. They're sick of the open borders policy. They're sick of Brussels' micromanagement of everything going on in their country. And some of it is just absolutely silly. Like, you know, how big the produce has to be on display in the supermarkets. It's got to be within a narrow definition. It's got to be stacked a certain way. And the EU sort of has this attitude of, well, we've got to prove that we're managing the EU, so we're going to go on out and manage absolutely everything. And that's fraying a lot of people's nerves. Okay. Let's see. Apparently, I just got an email from somebody. Apparently, Donald Trump already declared the migrant caravan as a national emergency. So, okay, there we are. Back in Germany, in Freiburg, Baden-Württemberg, they've arrested a migrant male after DNA evidence linked him to several sexual assaults and cases of animal abuse committed over the course of 2 years. And apparently the arrest was triggered after officers conducted what a press release praised as meticulous forensic work in matching DNA samples taken from several crime scenes. In the first of 3 sexual assaults linked to the arrest of unnamed 28-year-old Eritrean migrant. A 30-year-old German woman was attacked in May of 2018. So yeah, let's just open up those borders here. It's going to be a heck of a party. Okay. San Francisco State University, there was this Palestinian American professor, and there was this Israeli group that was trying to run a campaign of lawfare against him. Now, if you don't know what that term means, it means repeatedly suing somebody to bankrupt them and drive them out of business. And apparently, a federal judge in San Francisco dismissed what was obviously a frivolous lawsuit against Professor Rabab Abdelhadi and the university over her Palestine research and criticisms of Israel, which was part of this years-long bullying campaign. And the judge dismissed it with prejudice, meaning the lawsuit cannot be filed again. And the organization that did file it is called literally the Lawfare Project. And that's their strategy, to basically bring frivolous lawsuits against Israel's enemies to try and bankrupt people. Okay, so as you know, over at Al Jazeera, they produced 2 documentaries. One was about the Israel lobby in Great Britain, which was broadcast in Great Britain. It woke a lot of people up as to what's been going on over there. And they produced one here in the United States, which was then censored by the government of Qatar. And apparently there was very intense Israel lobby pressure not to air the film. However, bits and pieces of it are slipping out, and the Electronic Intifada has obtained a complete copy of The Lobby. It's a 4-part undercover investigation. They've already published the first 2 episodes, and they're going to publish the rest of it. So you're going to be able to hunt this thing down and take a look at what's been going on inside the United States of America at the hands of the government of Israel. And it was only a matter of time before this was going to come on out. And I'm sure Israel supporters are going to be out there saying, oh, you're an anti-Semite, you're a Jew hater. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, Israel's support in the United States is in decline among liberals, among the young, and even among American Jews. And they did it to themselves by their behavior, not their religion, not their ethnicity, by their behavior. All right, so let's talk about some science and technology stuff here. Microsoft has claimed that they have fixed that Windows 10 file deletion bug. They still have not released a new update. And at this point, I think it would be smart for everybody not to just jump on the update as soon as it comes on out, but just wait a couple of weeks and look for news that maybe it's not working out before you install it in your device. And I tend to do that, and it saved me a few times. In fact, there was an update to the iWatch, or to the Apple Watch, that actually locked it up. It would just freeze on the Apple logo, and you would have to take it in to get it repaired here. And by the way, thanks to everybody who wrote here, I got my little Twitch machine back up and running, and it turned out it was a simple problem. Here in Hawaii, obviously, a lot of salt air and computer parts get corroded, and the terminals on the battery pack on this machine got corroded. So the computer thought it was running on the battery, was plugged into the wall, wouldn't charge, ran the battery down, but it's all fixed. Shot it with contact cleaner, and we're back up and running. And if I hadn't been able to fix it, I was going to put my Windows 10 machine over there, because it's not like I'm able to use it for anything else. Okay, now, apparently British researchers have made a breakthrough in the pursuit of an ultra-fast and hyper-secure quantum internet. Now, this is an internet that operates on a principle called quantum entanglement. The problem is that quantum entanglement is highly sensitive to environmental interference that can disrupt a signal. And apparently these Sussex University researchers have found a way to use microwave technology to insulate the devices and protect them from this issue. Now, a quantum computer would be able to do calculations that would take current supercomputers billions of years to carry out, and obviously a quantum internet would carry vast amounts of data at very high speeds around the world, unless it's owned by Spectrum, at which point it will just basically crawl. Ford has now filed a patent for a robotic police car. So apparently, I guess the idea will be that in addition to being a self-driving car, these robotic police cars will be watching you, see if you jaywalk, or you drop litter, or you do something else like that, and then somehow or other, they will either issue you a citation or they'll take you into custody. But that's the next step here. I remember when I was a kid reading a science fiction book about robotic police cars and not really liking the idea very much here. And I understand we've got a lot of problems with our police. It's a civil forfeiture issue. There's the violence and so forth. But there are good cops out there, and I know because we have one who's a neighbor. And I don't know how comfortable I would be with the idea of a robotic police car. I mean, they're already backing off the self-driving cars and saying, well, it's not really self-driving, it's a driver assist system. And you still have to keep your eyes out the window, and you have to have your hands on the wheel, and it will help you drive the car, but you're still driving the car. So they didn't get the bugs out. They put it on out there in the marketplace before it was really ready here. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg, who, as you know, is CEO of Facebook, has been officially summoned to appear at a joint hearing by British and Canadian members of Parliament to answer questions related to the issues of data privacy and disinformation. Now, supposedly, these hearings are going to take place on the 27th of this month, and these British MPs and their Canadian counterparts want Zuckerberg to appear before an international grand committee, saying that his evidence is now overdue and urgent. And basically, Zuckerberg is going to be asked on what measures Facebook is taking to halt the spread of disinformation on your platform and to protect user data. Now, obviously, protection of your data is a really good idea, but unfortunately, social media's idea of disinformation usually involves something of their political bias here. And there's an illustration of that where somebody just posted this at whatreallyhappened.com, where apparently these so-called fact checkers over at Snopes are basically trying to get Breitbart News to pull out this story about the Black Panthers marching with their guns in support of Stacey Abrams. So they're gatekeepers. They're not fact-checking. They're there to basically just shut down anything they don't agree with. Over at YouTube, they went ahead and blocked a Trump rally live stream, declaring that, well, first of all, they demonetized the channel that was carrying the live stream. Then they blocked it, saying it was not family friendly. So they just shut it down so that people could not see the live stream of Donald Trump down there in Georgia. It's blatant censorship. There's no question about that here. See, apparently CNN and MSNBC canceled a Trump ad. And this was the one that was Mobs Not Jobs, or rather Jobs Not Mobs, was banned from the air one day before the election. was denounced as racist. So, yeah, the corporate media is trying to steal the election for the Democrats here. I hope they fall flat on their face. I really do. I want the GOP to win tomorrow and send a message that this kind of behavior, first of all, it's not going to work. Certainly didn't work in 2016. And, of course, that caller is probably right. If the GOP keeps both houses of Congress, we can count on the liberals to just throw a tantrum. Just cry and pop the blister pack and play with their Play-Doh and all this other stuff here. Okay. Apparently, this woman had an issue. This was being reported in Oraz.com. Apparently, they had a Nest Home monitoring system, and it got hacked by a stranger who started talking to her 5-year-old son and asking if he took the school bus home. Now, the Nest ads will show you beautiful images of Mother Nature captured on their outdoor cameras, but apparently this mother who lives on Long Island is saying she doesn't know she's being watched through her own cameras. And it certainly can be an issue. And one of the things that I think is an alarm about this Internet of Things is how poor the security is on these systems. So, okay, there has been a court ruling down in Florida. The Florida Court of Appeal quashed a juvenile court's order for the defendant, identified by his initials GAQL, and basically said that, yes, passcodes are protected by the Fifth Amendment. You cannot be forced to divulge them. That is a great legal precedent, and we need to remember that that is out there. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't keep anything on my cell phone. I don't keep any banking information on there. I mean, I have a bunch of pictures of Claire. That's about it, because I know these systems are under attack when I go outside. And you might want to think about not putting too much stuff on your cell phone. We got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Extendivite, a 7-herb combination of garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Extendivite is designed to strengthen the heart and arteries and help the body heal itself. Doctors are not able to explain the improvements they are seeing in their patients' health who are taking Extendivite. People who once needed more pills are now taking less and getting better. Due to the unexplainable improvements in their patients' health, more doctors are calling to order Extendivite for themselves. Help Extendivite make your doctor a believer. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. That toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We've got a caller on the line, Glenn from Philadelphia. Aloha, Glenn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. About that robotic police car. The way that works is it pulls up behind you and turns on the red and blue lights, and then a loudspeaker says, "Pull over, citizen. You have 10 seconds to comply." And then the rest is foregone conclusion. You know, it deploys the 20 millimeter cannons that they cannibalize from non-working F-35s. And then so it saves a lot on
I think we're going a little too far down the road toward the robot culture, and especially with replacing workers, human workers, with robots. It's bad for the economy. You know, you're putting people out of work. They don't have jobs. What are you going to do with them? Anyway, so thank you for the call here. I guess we lost Glenn there. All right, so let's get back to some science stories here. And let's talk about human-caused global warming, where for the last dozen years we have been harangued that global warming is bad, that carbon dioxide is a pollutant. But the reality is warming is actually good for the Earth. It's cold that's a bad thing. And if you go back and you look at history, you will find that the greatest flowering of human achievement and civilization occurred during the warmer periods. Whether it was the Roman warming period or the medieval warming period, food was much more abundant, art flourished, architecture flourished. Warming is a good thing. But the politicians tried to sell you this idea that warming was bad, that you were to blame, and you would have to atone by giving them your money and your obedience here. But first of all, climate's always changed. It's always changing. There's never been a time in history where the climate wasn't changing. It was changing long before humans got here. It'll go on changing long after we're gone here. Now, along that same area, there's a story. This came out of JoneAnova.com, basically saying, where are the rising sea levels? Because they've done a survey of the Pacific Islands, over 700 islands, and they're not seeing the sea level rise. In fact, some of these islands are actually getting more land mass. Now, in some parts of the world, sea levels are rising. In other parts, they're not. And it's not really a case of the sea level going up and down. It's the fact that the Earth's crust is not absolutely unchanging. The Earth's surface will rise and lower. You get earthquakes. They just had a moderately decent one in Southern California. You have magma displacements, all kinds of things going on. All right, we're going to take a break for station identification, and we'll be right back.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. Hour number 3. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we're talking about science, technology, health issues. And Al Gore probably wondered where he'd gotten off to. He is now wading in to this battle over the fate of fracking in Colorado. And he's urging residents to support a ballot initiative that critics say would effectively ban hydraulic fracturing across the state. Now, Gore is out there saying that fracking, of course, is releasing hydrocarbons into the atmosphere. And, of course, carbon dioxide. His science is a little sloppy, but on this one, I agree with him. I think fracking was a bad idea. It's not producing the volume of oil and gas it was supposed to. More to the point, it's bad for the environment, mostly because of that methane that's leaking out of the cracks in the rock. It doesn't stay down there in the ground the way the frackers promised it would happen. It percolates to the surface. And as it goes through water, the methane decomposes, basically takes the oxygen out of the water, which is why you're getting all these fish die-offs. So it really is a bad thing. Plus you have all these homes that are basically unlivable now because when you turn on any of the taps, methane comes on out. And you don't want to be breathing that stuff. And it's a fire hazard. Okay, let's see. Story here. This is a little ugly. Apparently there was this woman, Rosemarie Riley, and she filed multiple police reports in the month leading up to her death. Her former boyfriend, Jeremy Kelly, had beaten her and held a gun to her head. Then he started following her. But police didn't take him into custody. 9 days after an arrest warrant was finally issued, Kelly tracked Riley down to a friend's house in the middle of the night. He dragged her into the street by her hair and shot her multiple times. So you're asking, what was going on? Why weren't the police doing anything? Well, it turns out that the guy's father was a cop. And the police were just saying, well, they'll work it out. We don't want to arrest him. We don't want to inconvenience his father. But there's now a major lawsuit going on here for failure to do their duty, which is absolutely what it is. Okay, we have been talking about these do-it-yourself at-home DNA testing kits. And one of the problems is they can be woefully inaccurate. We know that at least one of the kits is actually adding reports of foreign DNA to push the multicultural agenda by telling you that you've got ancestry that you may not actually have. The worst ones are the ones, though, that are giving you medical information. And there's this article out of the Daily Mail in Great Britain where experts are warning that these cheap tests kits are incorrectly telling women they have a high risk of breast cancer, and it's scaring these women into having breast removal surgery. And of course, they're mentioning, Angelina Jolie, who went through the surgery because she had this high risk of cancer, which is linked to this BRCA gene mutations. But they're saying these tests are available for about 25 pounds. They may not be reliable. They're causing more worry than benefit. And they're costing the National Health Service money in follow-up tests. So you got to be really, really careful about these things. And by the way, just so that you know, if you read the fine print on these do-it-yourself DNA testing kits, you are transferring ownership of your DNA to the DNA testing company. So if they find something in there that has a commercial usage, they're going to get it, not you. Now, we've been talking about this movie, the Gosnell film, which is anti-abortion, and it's been roundly attacked by the corporate media. Planned Parenthood put out their own movie called Obvious Child, which is very pro-abortion. They put apparently millions of dollars into it. Gosnell was crowdfunded, and apparently it is the box office champ. People are not going to see the Planned Parenthood movie. So that's reassuring, I think, a little bit here. Alrighty, as you have probably noticed on TV, once again, we're getting inundated with commercials for the HPV vaccine. The ones with like the little girl, did you know mom? Did you know dad? And now, of course, they've got one for the guys. Because, they admit HPV is not going to give them cervical cancer, but it could give them other cancers. It could do all sorts of things. So by golly, you get that shot. Well, apparently, these parents whose son died after receiving the Gardasil vaccine in August spoke at the CDC. And were basically presenting their evidence that their child died of ADEM, which was most likely contracted by the HPV vaccine he'd received just days before. And his mother was out there saying he'll never have his first high school dance, he'll never get married or know the joy of having children because he is gone thanks to the HPV vaccine. Alrighty, there's another story. This one is out here saying that there is a new government study that says that, yes, in point of fact, vaccinated individuals can not only become infected with measles, they can spread it to others who are also vaccinated against it. This stuff doesn't really work very well, does it? It's just a big moneymaker. That's all it is. It's a moneymaker. Scary tactics, scary advertising. Oh, you better get your flu shot. And they have overinflated numbers. Most of the people that we're being told came down with the flu, they have flu-like symptoms, but they don't actually test positive for influenza, which means the vaccine's a complete waste here. Now, here's an article which I think makes a really, really good point, coming out of Natural News, saying basically one of the problems with the vaccines is this one-size-fits-all logic. And a pregnant woman, a 6-month-old baby, and a 250-pound man all get the same dose of chemicals from the same vaccine, including the influenza vaccine. Does that actually make sense? And some of these vaccines contain formaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen, aluminum, which has been linked to Alzheimer's, monosodium glutamate, squalene, sodium chloride, porcine gelatin, egg protein, E. coli, African green monkey kidney cells, which at one point were thought to have been the origin of the AIDS virus, neomycin, human serum albumin, diploid cells from abortion, and even mercury. And a 7-pound infant gets injected with the same amount of these chemicals as a full-grown man or woman. You think about that for a while. Okay, we were talking before about how there's this emerging polio-like illness, and they're not calling it polio, they're giving it another name. But early on, there were indications the problem might have to do with the live oral polio vaccine. And, of course, obviously, that's not something they want the public to really know about. But the mechanism by which the OPV vaccine was giving some people, but not all polio, may have been found all the way back in 1995 in the New England Journal of Medicine. And they found out that if the oral polio vaccine was followed by 2 injections of antibiotics, the risk of vaccine-associated paralytic poliomyelitis increased 27-fold. With 10 or more antibiotic injections following the oral polio vaccine, the risk of developing polio was 182 times greater than expected. That's one of the areas in which vaccine testing fails, especially when you're dealing with multiple vaccines in a single shot, like the MMR. They'll test the individual vaccines. They're not really looking at what happens when they're mixed together and allowed to sit for a while. In fact, if you go back to the movie Vaxxed, they make a specific point saying that the single shots for measles, mumps, and rubella don't really seem to have the problem as the combined shot. But the single shots are no longer available. It's the combined shot or nothing at all. Okay. Interesting article coming out of learntherisk.org. The U.S. Vaccine Advisory Panel, called the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, is the group that approves vaccines for public use in the United States. Most of the members, no surprise here, have connections to the pharmaceutical vaccine industry. Now, there was a video that we posted at whatreallyhappened.com taken from a recent ACIP meeting discussing the approval of a new hepatitis B vaccine for adults. The vaccine uses a new ingredient that has never been used before and never tested for safety by anyone other than the vaccine maker, who has a financial incentive to basically hedge this. Now, pre-approval studies signaled an increase in heart attacks and autoimmune issues, but under the pressure from vaccine makers, the committee unanimously approved the vaccine, meaning you are the test subject. Now, the FDA is clearly concerned about side effects, including heart attacks, including herpes. But the vaccine is going to be on the market for 2 years before any significant data is compiled. It's one of the reasons why our medical care is so expensive but of such poor quality. Now, a lot of times we talk about the adjuvants in vaccines. Now, the adjuvants are chemicals that are added to the vaccine to provoke an immune response. And the theory of it is they put all those extra chemicals in there, and then your body has an immune response that builds antibodies to the live pathogen that is in the vaccine, hopefully an attenuated pathogen. Doesn't always stick that way. So what are they putting into these vaccines? Mercury in the form of thimerosal, and it was supposed to be taken out years ago, but apparently it's still being used because basically it retards spoilage. It means the vaccines last longer on the shelf. Saves money here. It has absolutely no therapeutic effect for the patient. There's aluminum. We were talking about that one before with the vaccines. Human diploid cells, which are usually harvested from aborted fetuses. Animal cells, monosodium glutamate, formaldehyde, which, as I've mentioned, that's known to be carcinogenic. And here's where it gets interesting. They include antibiotics in the vaccines. So if you're getting a negative reaction, like they've determined with that oral polio vaccine, the antibiotics are right there. It's going to increase your chance of getting polio here. Okay, then there is a compound called squalene. Now, this was an experimental toxic vaccine adjuvant added to vaccines around the time of the first Gulf War. And squalene has been implicated in Gulf War syndrome. There was a study about it, and the Department of Defense conveniently lost 700,000 immunization records, which might have told us why squalene was showing up in the Gulf War veterans' blood samples. Remember when the VA was saying, oh, it's all in your head. There's no such thing as Gulf War syndrome. You're just making it up. Peanut oil, we've talked about that one for a long time. And you're supposed to eat peanut oil, not inject it into your bloodstream. And it appears that this use of peanut oil as a vaccine adjuvant is the reason for the epidemic of peanut anaphylaxis, which is a major, major problem. You go to the supermarket, you'll pick up a package and it said, this product was assembled on machinery that may have been contaminated by peanuts. Because it is a problem. People who have peanut anaphylaxis, they can literally go into shock and die just from a smidge of peanut dust. Well, you know something? When I was a kid, there was no such thing as peanut anaphylaxis. It's a new curse. And of course, finally, they're putting genetically modified organisms into these vaccines here. The so-called precautionary principle of science is just being thrown out to the wind because there's profits. We're making money. Now, there's a little bit of good news here. Over in Pennsylvania, Senator Mike Fulmer believes strongly that parents have a constitutional right to informed consent, especially in regards to vaccine. And earlier this year, he introduced informed consent legislation that would require that patients and parents be given information regarding the risks and supposed benefits of vaccinations. You know, right now you go in, the doctor says this is good for you, sticks the needle, and that's it. So he wants to basically repeal the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, which is one of the pieces of legislation which gave vaccine manufacturers absolute immunity from being sued when their vaccines cause serious harm or death. Basically, he says it violates the Fifth Amendment of the United States, which allows injured parties to seek due process under the law. We have way too many industries which are right now indemnified and protected. Computers, hardware, and software, the vaccine industry. You can't have that. Corporations have to have a reason to produce a quality, safe product. If you give them a license to simply say, well, yeah, we can put anything we want there, that's what they're going to do, because they're in business to make money. And if they're being told by the government, don't worry about it, nothing bad is going to happen to you, they're going to make bad products. They're going to be sloppy about what they're doing. All right, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back after these few words.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. This product is superb. I have been taking it for about a year now, and I can feel my cardiovascular system run like a Swiss watch. I definitely recommend this product for anyone that has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart palpitations, A+. It's potent, but it works. I have been waking up for the past 3 years with numb hands, and a week into using Extendivite, my numb hands seem to have cleared up. My circulation was off, and now it's back on track. So I'm happy. I feel so energized, and I have my husband on it now. My mother-in-law has cholesterol problems, so I bought her a bottle as well. Thank you so much. Love the product. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Attention RBN listeners. Dr. Ignatius Piazza, founder of Front Sight Firearms Training, and fate have come together to allow RBN to run another fundraiser till the end of the year. We didn't really expect this opportunity, but thankfully it's here and running as you hear this. We've set a goal of 500 donations by the end of the year, which averages around 6 per day, 7 days a week. When you realize all the folks listening to RBN all hours of the day and night, we think our goal is realistic and extremely critical to keep RBN on the air. If everybody listening will seriously assess their ability with firearms and then take advantage of this opportunity, we feel our goal is very conservative. Please take the time to look over Front Sight's website to get an idea of an amazing facility and the world-class training that's going on there. If this interests you, you likely will have like-minded friends that would like to know. Tell them. If for some reason some listeners are not personally interested, consider sons and daughters, close friends, nieces or nephews, top valued employees, inform club members, share the opportunity with police and fire departments. It's not too early to plan Christmas presents for special people. This fundraiser has come at an extremely critical time for RBN because the dire need for equipment upgrades. We're running on the spare tire currently with no money to fix a flat, and the fuel gauge is bouncing on E. This is one of the most valuable ways you can help RBN financially because you get Commander lifetime membership value that is 50 times your donation and can be passed on forever. How many times during life do you get to leave a legacy? See more details and contact info on our webpage, republicbroadcasting.org, and thank you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And there's an interesting story here. This is out of the AJC.com. And it has to do with this young man who was suffering from ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which when I was a kid, we called teacher is boring me. And we know that the guy who came up with that name of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, shortly before he passed away, he admitted it was just made up to sell medicine. So apparently, this young man was given a new ADHD medicine called Vyvanse, which is a stimulant. And apparently, he just flipped out and stabbed his father to death. And the judge ruled clearly this was caused by the medication, and the son fit the definition of insanity while he was on this medication. So you have to be really, really careful. And again, I've had a bad experience with antidepressants. It happened many, many years ago before I even met Claire. And I will never take those. Of course, I try and avoid medication anyway, unless I absolutely, absolutely need it, because you don't know what's in there and how poorly it may have been made. Alrighty, we were talking earlier about this commercial for Trump that NBC and Fox News just pulled from their networks, calling it racist. It's a 30-second ad, and I just posted it to the top of the main page at whatreallyhappened.com. Actually, one of our members did. So after your cache clears, you're going to actually be able to see what the ad looked like and judge for yourself if it's racist or not, or if this is just the corporate media in a last-ditch Hail Mary attempt to try and swing the election to the liberal Democrats here. Over in France, they've had to launch a major investigation because they're having this sudden epidemic of babies being born with serious birth defects like missing or malformed arms. And it's basically creating this public health scare. And the head of Public Health France, Francois Bourdillon, is out there saying nothing is being hidden from the public, and the investigation is underway. They're expecting results in about 3 months. They're looking into, is it pesticides? Is it bad genes getting into the population? Is it something that came in with the migrant population? But the condition is a type of agenesis where the upper limbs of a fetus fail to form correctly during pregnancy. And those affected can be born with missing upper limbs, forearms, hands, or fingers. So that is not pleasant at all. And apparently, over the past 15 years, there have been 25 of these cases delivered in 3 specific regions, including Brittany. So a lot of people are looking at pesticides due to cases being clustered in the rural areas and calves being born in the same regions without tails. So that's a good clue right there. Well, apparently somebody was not able to be indemnified for this. Over in London, ITH Pharma Limited is facing criminal charges after allegedly supplying contaminated feed to premature babies all the way back in 2014. And so they're getting sued and they're being criminally charged. You know, one of the worst victories of the advertising industry, which I used to work in, was convincing mothers that what came out of their own body was somehow inferior to what was coming out of that bottle or can on the supermarket shelf. And it's just flat out not true. There are all kinds of things in natural milk that are not in the manufactured baby formula. Remember the time came on out, they discovered there was melanin in the baby formula? We ought to rename this country to AFAB. Anything for a buck. Seems to be the way they're operating here. All right, well, as you know, following our pipe bomb crisis, everybody's on a hair trigger alert. And apparently in Charlotte, North Carolina, they shut down an entire block around Duke Energy, the Duke Energy building. The cops showed up, the bomb squad showed up, they had a suspicious package. When they finally got it open, it turned out to contain an audio cassette by the 1980s band Journey. So everybody could breathe a sigh of relief. People still using audio cassettes? We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Do you worry a lot? If you're forgetful, nervous, moody, or overwhelmed, chances are you're not protecting yourself from the ravaging effects of stress and anxiety. No matter the cause, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, your quality of life, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in as little as 1 to 2 weeks and increase your ability to recall facts, names, and numbers in 4 to 12 weeks. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. Try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll feel the difference. Call 1-800-758-8746 or go to calmandclever.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Many people write about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you a few from Amazon.com. My wife and I both use Extendivite and are very pleased with the results. It has helped to stabilize our blood pressure and to make both of us feel healthier. Good product and good buy. So far, so good. I've been taking Extendivite 3 times a day, only a short while now, but already I've noticed the circulation in my hands and feet improving. They tingle. I like the idea of taking something herbal rather than pills. I take Extendivite 3 times a day, every day. I think this supplement has helped with my increased fitness regime and to lower my blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And about a week and a half ago, NASA had announced that they were giving up on the rover Opportunity. As you know, it went dark when there was this huge dust storm. And they were hoping that when the dust storm ended, that Opportunity might wake up. It hasn't. And the concern, of course, is that the windstorm left a layer of dust on the solar panels, and they were talking a week and a half ago about just this is going to be the end of the mission. Well, they've had a rethink on it because apparently that part of Mars right now is seeing some very high winds that could blow the Martian dust off the solar panels. And by the way, that actually happened once before. I don't remember if it happened to Spirit or Opportunity, but one of the rovers was doing very, very poorly because there was a lot of dust on the solar panels, and they were having to let the rover just rest and charge and do a little bit. And then all of a sudden it got hit by one of those dust devils that you see on the Martian surface. And the power just went right back up to the top, and they were able to continue the mission. It could happen, and they are saying that, yes, they're going to go ahead and continue to listen for Opportunity. All right, we got a caller on the line here. Mark in New York, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Mike. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to call because you're talking about bottled stuff and packaged stuff. And I had a problem with like heartburn and reflux. And in the book, The Acid Watcher's Diet, that it explained that in the 70s that the government passed a law or a couple of things that would allow to put acid into packaged goods, like bottled stuff. And even in kids' food, I believe it's in too. And it's very interesting if you're having, and as you become like middle-aged, the years of eating the spicy foods and this acid in the diet and everything you eat can hurt your throat and create cancerous conditions. And an interesting thing you can do, instead of doing like Tums and that kind of antacids, you can try the high pH water, which sometimes, most of the time, it can work for me. Like I have this one water that's 9.5 plus pH.
Wow.
That can
yes.
settle some of the acid in your stomach. But that's right off and that's what a doctor recommended too. He said, like, do like 8 ounces before you eat, and that could help with any of the acid that's in your diet. So whatever. So I thought that might be interesting. I didn't really know that since the 70s they had that, but it's helped. And what I learned is that this silent reflux, it's from the pepsids in your stomach, like getting a hold of of the gases in your drinks or your liquids, and goes up into your stomach. And you got like 3 layers in your esophagus that the pepsids, I believe they are, an enzyme from your stomach. It just buries itself in your throat, and every time you swallow something acidic, it comes alive. So the way to treat it, if you go on like a restricted diet, it's not that tough.
Yeah.
You could do it for like 4 weeks, and then it's fine. But that's about it that I wanted to complain about. Besides this other thing I called on Friday, if I may, I just wanted to say, I remember you were saying like, the right of a speedy trial, and I was thinking after I hung up with you, regarding the Charleston guy that got in an accident, you could have just been cruising through town looking for women, 20 years old, in a sports car. He made the wrong turn. He was alone. He could have just been looking to cruise,
Yeah.
So in one argument, I'm just thinking maybe it's good that they're not putting them a speedy trial until they really figure out what they can do. Same thing with this Benghazi guy, this film producer. Who knows? But I don't believe he's an American citizen. So, and that's about all I can think of for today. I have a couple other things I wrote down, but that'll be it for today.
Okay, that'll be just fine. With regard to Charlottesville, I mean, my understanding from when this happened is that he didn't intend to be part of this riot in the street. He made a wrong turn, found himself in the middle of it. Apparently, people were pounding on his car, and he was just trying to get away, and that's how the accident happened. But, of course, the media took it and said, oh, it's a racial attack, it's this, it's that.
Yeah, and a lot of what I consider more my intelligent leftist friends were saying they had friends in Charleston and whatever. Maybe he meant they were talking about the protest or this guy, but they brought it up and whatever. I just thought the guy is kind of innocent. I believe something went, whatever. I was bringing up, it was either maybe some kind of road rage or you were saying maybe self-defense. But where they were coming at, it seemed like it was a hate thing. You know, every time you hear Charleston, it's like this hate. And I think they're going to have a tough time proving it was a hate crime.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, and that it would endanger him, too. The way they're destroying Kavanaugh's life, you know.
Yes.
They don't care. This guy let out in the general population in prison, they're just going to kill him because they figured it was hate. You know, so that's what I was thinking. Maybe it's good they're keeping him locked up. But you never hear about this guy. But I know they didn't let him have bail. They denied bail, that is. And
yes.
That's all I heard so far. He's somewhere.
Well, they don't want his side of the story to get out because it just underscores the fact that, again, it was all spin and propaganda. And, you know, back when Charlottesville happened, they were really pushing the race card. They were trying very hard to just rile people up along racial lines.
Yeah. Another thing, if I could switch, was they were pointing out, you know, it was a funny meme, with these, whatever, these liberal memes. They're pointing out how Mueller came right out and said, get these people. And I was thinking, you know, nobody's talking about this Whitey Bulger and how he was killed the day after he moved into this as a different prison, as you pointed out last week. And it's all suspect, you know, and nobody talks about that. And then the Spygate stuff, a lot of the people that signed off on the spying on were all Mueller's guys.
Yes.
I listened to a lot of Dan Bongino, and it's all Obama's guys and Mueller's guys, chief of staff as his staff. It's shady. But these what I consider the most intelligent leftist friends I have, they never know about this stuff. They never heard about it, and I think that it's like you said, that biased reporting.
Yes.
Like I'm surprised these guys, but they tell me put on your tinfoil hat and stuff. So I'm trying to tell people to take a look. And if I may say, that's why I like the show, because you do look at everything you touched on today, a little health, a little science,
the
current stories. Meanwhile, when I put on CNN, I have Sling. They offer CNN for free. They don't offer Fox. But the lefties are all like, turn off Fox. They tell them, I haven't had Fox in 5 years. I can go to YouTube and I can play back, but that's kind of a hassle because all I really need is a few hours of your show, a little bit of CNN, which is all the same stuff. And yeah.
Okay.
That's, you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Mark. We're going to let you go and switch over to David in San Francisco. Aloha, David. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, hey, Mike. Yeah, as you were opening up the show, I'm kind of spacing the exact example you were using, but the phrase duty to care came to mind. You know, if you go to a doctor, that doctor has a responsibility to treat you. He doesn't have a responsibility to push, you know, drugs from a pharmaceutical company. He doesn't have a duty to the hospital. He has a duty to the patient. And lawyers are the same way. And governmental agencies have a duty to the citizenry. And I'm still spacing the exact example. As you opened out the show, you were talking about some example in which their duty to care didn't seem to be the policy. Do you remember how you opened out the show?
I'm having a hard time identifying the specific comment that you're referring to. In theory, there's supposed to be a duty to care. We're all supposed to have, a duty to do whatever it is that we're doing to the best of our ability. Unfortunately, we have seen our entire society become totally corrupted by the love of money. I remember that one doctor, they threw him in prison for something like 40 years for telling people they had cancer so he could sell them cancer treatments. And these were people who were perfectly
healthy. Sure, that'd be an example. Yeah, that'd be a good example. One of the things that I just saw a post a few minutes ago about the election boards, and that we've gotten into precincts that are bigger and bigger and bigger. In fact, there's a scandal in I think it's Dodge City, Kansas, where they've centralized all the precincts. When I was a fresh voter at 18 years old, the precinct was 1 block away from my house. It was a little old lady's front porch, and she used to babysit me. So there was no way in the world that some stranger could just come into town and claim that they were somebody or another and vote. That the precincts were small enough that everybody knew each other.
Yeah.
And so in Dodge City right now, they actually, in order to make sure that the people of Dodge City don't elect a Democrat, they actually took the precinct and moved it, as I understand it, out of town. There's only one precinct for Dodge City. They moved it out of town into some place that has no bus service. And so basically, I think Uber is trying to do a rescue campaign and giving free taxi rides to vote. But the idea that you're not even going to be able to vote in your own hometown because there's no duty to care for the honesty of an election. So, it's duty to care is a major part of taxation with representation, and it has been kind of slid under. Usually, budget. The budgeteers, the fake excuse for a budget. That's one of the ways that they've been able to pull this scam for years. And in fact, I think I mentioned this to you some years ago. You remember before World War II in Germany, they had to have wheelbarrows full of cash to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah, the Weimar inflation.
When things settled down, it took years for that inflation to settle down to normal. And people were starving, actual starvation. And part of the way that they rounded people up and put them into concentration camps was they claimed they didn't pay off the debt of that hyperinflation. So they were able to round up the sick, the elderly, labor leaders, as well as Jews and communists and socialists, who were actually just a regular old political party. There were socialist political parties, just like there are, social democrats or whatever they had back then. But they rounded everybody up based upon the hyperinflation numbers. And so they were able to claim that they were useless bread eaters when they weren't able to pay off that hyperinflation debt. I remember finding...
My understanding is that the Weimar currency simply collapsed and the Nazis simply introduced a whole new currency that was based on unit of value. I mean, they basically shut down that private central bank imposed on Germany by the Treaty of Versailles. And that's what turned Germany's economy around. It was called the German Miracle. And Hitler was Time Magazine's Man of the Year, I think, in 1938. So this idea...
that was because Ruth and Ford... And, there were a lot of major American, in fact, the Bush family.
Yes.
Read the Webster Tarpley book, on George Bush, the unauthorized biography. He goes into a lot of detail about how the Bush family were doing money laundering for Thiessen and Krupp and, mostly Thiessen, I think. And that miracle economy was based upon, it was based upon an inflood of. Thiessen didn't want to pay reparations in World War I. In fact, you might get a kick out of this. I'm an old stamp collector, and there was a subscription company, Stamps Magazine. And if I remember right, it was late 1981, maybe early 1982. They had an editorial about how the Weimar Republic, the question came up about the postage stamps of Germany and why there were 2 billion Deutschmarks to pay for a postage stamp. And they go into a whole thing about how the Versailles Treaty was broken down into various sections so that they had to, it was a mandate that they had to pay off in lumber, in gold, in copper, in raw materials. They had to pay off a section of it in gold, but then they also had an opportunity to pay part of it off in cash. Well, that's when they created the hyperinflation. And it was a scam in order to pay, Belgium and France and England $4.98 worth of value with hyperinflation currency.
Yes.
And so it was a big laughing stock that they pulled it off, but that's how they also forced everybody to salute in unison, because if you kissed ass to the Nazi Party, you would get daily cost of living raises. If you sort of kissed ass to the Nazi Party, you would get monthly cost of living. If you didn't dare, give them the time of day, you'd be lucky to get yearly cost of living. And with hyperinflation that was designed to be a scam to avoid reparations, that was how they forced everybody to salute in unison through that hyperinflation scam. So, yeah, if you get a chance to find
I'm not sure it's tied that tightly to the currency. I mean, there's no question that the Nazis ran the Nazi Party as a personality cult centered, obviously, on Adolf Hitler, and just created this fanatical support for the agenda. And I think you're tying too much to this idea that it was all being controlled by the money. There was a lot of lore, regalia, the flags. I mean, it was marketing. It was public relations.
Yeah, but you remember the Dulles family helped write the Versailles Treaty, and the Dulleses were also involved with the money laundering of the Bushes. So they were playing both sides against the middle. They had no loyalty
do that. Anyway, listen, David, I got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials.
Sure,
we're going to be back here with our last segment of our show today. We've got one more caller waiting on the line. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. Airoutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to Airoutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at Airoutfitting.com.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
Welcome to What Really Happened Radio. Visit us online at whatreallyhappened.com. And now, set your eyes on the future and let's consider what really happened.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Last segment of our program today, and we're going to take one more phone call from Daniel in British Columbia. Aloha, Daniel. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah. Hi, Mike. I'm not sure if you covered this today because I hadn't listened to the whole show, but I thought you should mention these lawmakers that want to look at your social media history going back 3 years and see if you got any hate posts on there before they sell you a gun. And I think it's a slippery slope. It doesn't surprise me after the Pittsburgh shooting. And if they don't get it, they'll pull another one of these shootings or something worse. And I think it's something that Americans should be concerned about.
We should definitely be concerned about it. I mean, we have this throng of criminals coming across our border. They've got guns, and we do have a right to protect ourselves. And my concern about the scanning of social media is sometimes people lose their temper and they say things on social media that are out of kilter with how they really feel about things. So it's a slippery slope and it could be misused. Again, who gets to decide? Now, obviously, if somebody's on social media saying, I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to go shoot that SOB, yeah, a little bit of caution is definitely warranted there. But merely expressing a political opinion, even if it's unpopular, should not really have anything to do with it. But we know the liberals want guns banned. They're going to do anything they can to ban it. They're trying to put a tax on bullets to just make it too expensive for gun enthusiasts to go on with their hobby.
Yeah, it sounds like the ADL or the Southern Poverty Law Center are going to be the ones, once again, to decide who's worthy of having a firearm and who's not.
Yep.
I don't know. I thought I'd just mention that because that surprised me quite a bit, actually. So I'll let you finish your show.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
an awful lot. And let's see. All right. So obviously tomorrow is election day, and I'm adding my voice to the chorus of voices out there saying this is the most important midterm election probably in our nation's history. There's a lot on the line. Both sides are still predicting victory. Again, we don't know how much election fraud there's going to be. They're already catching it. Texas and Georgia, they're catching election fraud taking place here. We don't know how many illegal immigrants are going to vote. So at this point, anything could happen. But get out there and vote. Get your conservative friends to get out there and vote. we were able to overcome the election fraud in 2016. We can do it again this time. And again, the Democrats are desperate. Where they may have lost the election was how they treated Kavanaugh. That left a really bad taste in a lot of voters' mouths to see the Democrats behave like that. All right, there's the music. Time for me to get on out of here, get something useful done with the rest of the day. Stay tuned for John Stedmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please share what you learn here with everybody that you know. Please donate to Republic Broadcasting. Please get out and vote tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.